Super Mario 64 was the first 3D Mario game to release on the Nintendo 64 back in 1996. It's a game that predates the lives of many. However, the game has gained much notoriety in recent times due to an increased growth of its speedrunning community. Speedrunning, if you're not familiar, is an attempt by players to beat a game or complete a specific task within a game as quickly as possible. Super Mario 64 is one of the most popular speedrunning games because of its open worlds and tight movement options that give players the ability to collect stars in the game at an unbelievable pace. I mean, just looking at speedrun.com, the official leaderboard for competing times, shows that there are over hundreds of runners willing to grind out the game for their ideal time. Super Mario 64's speedrun community separates runs into 5 main categories. These are 0, 1, 16, 70, and 120 star runs. These stars are objectives one must collect before facing off against Bowser in a final fight. This video will focus mainly on how I progressed through the 70 star category and will document the struggles, triumphs, and results I experienced across 3 days of speedrunning. Most of the first day's commentary will be describing the route we use. And while I'd like to make a comprehensive video going over each star in the run, I think the guide over at Wikipedia is one of the best sources to learn if you find yourself interested in the speedrun. I'll link that in the description if you want to check it out. Before we jump into day 1, I'd like to preface by saying prior to my first run, I had watched videos and practiced stars that seemed much more difficult than what one can experience in the 16-star route. I previously was a 16-star runner, meaning I had some familiarity with the game. In the 16-star route, we get some of the easiest stars in the game, and only see a glimpse of 6 out of 15 major worlds. In 70 star, we enter 14 of the 15 worlds, only skipping Jolly Roger Bay for having so many slow stars. Sorry JRB, it's nothing personal, we're just trying to go fast. The gap between these two categories was much larger than expected, so even if you're new to the scene or a veteran of the game, I hope there's still something for you in this video. Let's get started. On day 1, we did 2 runs, with the first being my first attempt ever at a whole 70-star run. After an opening cutscene, we aim to enter the castle, and we do a trick called Lakitu Skip by jumping on the edge of this bridge to skip some dialogue. We get our first star in Bob-omb Battlefield behind a gate protected by a chain chomp. You can normally use a trick called Bomb Clip to push yourself into the wall, but I was a bit rusty and missed it, so I had to ground pound this pole instead to free the chain chomp and continue. Next we enter the Princess's Secret Slide. We bump into this wall to change Mario's direction, allowing us to jump off and skip a large portion of the slide. There are actually 2 stars here, so we return here after Whomp's, our next destination, to get the other. In Whomp's Fortress, we get all 7 stars available. A major difference here from 16 star is that we get the 100 coins and the red coin star. There are 8 reds, and each one counts as 2 coins, so collecting these stars together is efficient. Another notable star is this one hidden in the wall, but a precise setup allows us to clip into it. Then we grab the star near the wall, defeat the Whomp King at the top, take over the kingdom by ascending to the top of this tower, and meet a sleepy owl who flies us up to the final star here. After getting the second slide star, we return to the main room and look into the sky, teleporting us into the wing cap stage, where we get a red coin star. We also activate this wing cap switch for use in later levels. Now we enter the first Bowser stage. Here we traverse through a fairly difficult stage with a lot of areas to die. We also collect the red coins along the way. This wasn't too difficult for me since you do a similar path in 16 star. We end with a quick fight against Bowser, where we defeat him by throwing him onto a bomb, giving us access to the basement of the castle. We're not heading there quite yet though, because we have some unfinished business in Bob-omb Battlefield. There, we can now use the wing cap to fly to the top of this island and open the box star. This star was a choke point for me though, since I just couldn't get enough height to make it up there on the first try. With enough persistence though, we finally get a good flight and get the star. Cool Mountain is our next destination, and we start by jumping off the stage? Just kidding. We do this to access a hidden portion of the map with the star. Then we reunite a lost penguin with its mother, take a quick break inside this house with a huge slide, skip most of it anyway because who's got the time for that, collect the star that waits for us upon exiting, and end with 100 coins alongside a race against a penguin. Now this race was a difficult star for me to learn. Not only are there a limited number of coins on this slide, 77 to be exact, but the penguin is so thick that he'll push you off if you're not careful. We ideally want to spawn the 100 coin star here, but if we don't, we might suffer some huge time losses by having to climb back up. Beating the penguin in the race rewards us with another star. Now we go on a ghost hunt and enter Big Boo's haunt by sitting on this boo to enter a mansion where we sit on a bigger boo 3 times to collect its star. We re-enter one more time and go to this door to get this simple star hidden across the room. Normally you have to solve a 3-step puzzle to access this, but I'm allergic to books, so we don't do that. Now we head into the basement to access Shifting Sandland, but first we catch this little bunny because he's so cute. I guess he also has a star, but don't let him get away because his movement can be tricky. In Shifting Sandland, we first jump off this shy guy and fly into the bird to make it drop the star. If we're unable to at first, we can always move to this pillar and hit the bird ourselves. The next star has us maneuver to this box, which gives us a shell to ride along the top of the 4 red pillars. The shell is important because there's deadly quicksand everywhere that will instantly cause a death. Touching the tops of the pillars opens up the top of the pyramid, but watch out because your shell might break when riding up a pillar. Inside of the pyramid, we do an easy jump to grab this star. The last star is much simpler. We can grab it just by jumping up this hill and jumping into the alcove in the pyramid. Now we enter Lethal Lava Land, a stage filled with, you guessed it, lava. We put on our big boy pants, travel across the lava, and take on some bullies with some well-placed ground pounds. Since we're boosting across the lava, our health will be low, and one missed attack could cause our death. The next star is a straightforward 8 reds that are all clustered on this sliding puzzle. With the right movement, this star feels great to grab. Another star we grab requires this wing cap. We jump off this arch to fly over this gate and fall onto it. The last 2 stars are inside this volcano in the middle of the stage. One requires us to run along the perimeter to ascend, dodging hidden traps and avoiding fire on the way up. The second has us intentionally take damage from lava to boost ourselves onto this platform. But as you can see, taking too much damage can lead to our demise. Once we're past that part though, a jump off this pole gets us to the star. With 30 stars in hand, we head to Dire Docks, where we're met with 3 calming stars. This is a nice break before we get into the real heat of the run. We first touch these 4 chests in a particular order to spawn a star. As you can see, I struggled a bunch to open a lot of these chests and almost got sucked into the current. After that, we climb onto Bowser's sub, exposing the entrance to the second Bowser stage. We're not quite done yet, since we have to enter one last time and follow the rings left by this generous manta ray to get our 3rd star. These rings can be finicky, and if you don't get the first ones immediately, you might be chasing this fellow for a while. The second Bowser stage is the next destination, and this is a tough one. In 70 star, it's recommended to get the red coins along the way. This was a brand new route that I had to learn, so breaking the old muscle memory I had caused many complications. But after a couple of bonks and many lava boosts, we get our star and an opportunity to defeat Bowser again. Now we're heading to the upstairs of the castle, and this is where things get real fun. All of the following stages and stars were completely new to me, so the second half of the run definitely came with tons of fails. In Wet Dry World, the height of when you enter the painting is important because it affects the water level inside the stage. We want to enter as low as possible 3 times, then slightly higher the 4th. 100 coins along with 5 secrets in the stage is our first task. There's not really much to say here. As long as we follow the route correctly, we can get 2 quick stars. The next star is behind this gate and requires an elevator to take us up. It's faster to use wall kicks to ascend, but as you can see, missing an input or failing to touch the star means you're falling back down anyway. The 3rd star requires slightly higher water level so we can bounce off this skeeter for quicker access to the top. We have to do this kind of janky long jump to reach the box quickly, but as you can see, I try to go too fast and end up having to do the whole thing over again. The next star is easy to get to. We use this warp and simply drop down onto this box. Tiny Huge Island is one of the scariest maps for me because there's just so many places to fall off. The gimmick here is that there are 2 versions of the level, one small and one big. 5 secrets is our objective here. The last secret is at the top, and we slide down this scary gap to reach the island where the star spawns. Dying here is not preferred since you'll have to redo all the secrets again. Next up, we enter this pipe to do some garden work and claim our star after eliminating the piranha plants. Make sure not to fall off this ledge though, because there's no quick way back. As you can see, that happened to me, and I clearly had no idea where to go from here, so I just wandered around, stole this Koopa's shell, and used them to clear the rest of the plants away. This area looks clean now, doesn't it? The 3rd star just needs us to enter this other pipe so we can ascend the mountain and claim the star hidden inside this box. Or that's what I would have said if I had remembered to get the 3rd star during my run. I didn't realize which star I had missed until later, so that's why you'll see a time jump. In a longer run like this, it's important to keep track of what you're doing or else you'll look like a big fool like I did. Before we enter Tall Mountain, we'll have to talk to this toad to get another star. Then we collect 5 stars in the stage where 2 of them require us to scale the mountain. We can use a glitch to clip inside of the mountain and fall onto water at a higher point. Maneuvering over this log gets us to a spot where we can triple jump onto a higher portion. Here, a side flip and wall kick puts us into position for 2 stars. One is in this alcove behind the waterfall, and the second is a short climb above. The next star is on top of this mushroom, but we can use this box to leap onto it. Careful with the angle here, because one wrong angle and you'll be falling into the open blue. Now we'll collect 8 red coins. There's not much to say here except the ones on the mushrooms can lead to a death if you misplace a jump. We finish the stage by heading backwards from where we start and use the air to ascend to a point where we can jump into this alcove for a star. The last stage we head up to here is Snowman's Land. We get 4 pretty quick stars here, starting with the top of the snowman's head. We travel to this section and triple jump up to the torso of the snowman. We jump over this wall and align ourselves between the fence and the igloo, and side flip and wall kick to perfectly land near the top of the head. The star is just a few jumps away. Next, we solve a difficult ice puzzle with a well-placed triple jump. This is one of my favorite stars because of how straightforward it is. Next, we get a star by jumping over these walls and reach a hidden cliff. You typically have to bounce off one of these spin drifts to access this area, but this method is good to try first since you can back up to it later. The last star here has us fight against an ice bully, but no worries here, they're a total pushover, so a quick dive lets us shove him right off. You'd think we could head to the very top of the castle now, but we actually return to the basement because there's a second bunny for us to catch here. We can also enter this room and talk to another toad for a quick star. Then we jump into the magic fluid to enter Hazy Maze Cave, where we get 4 stars. We always head to the left in this stage. The right scares me, so I've never been. For 2 stars, we always enter this little room. 1 star requires us to activate the elevator, position Mario underneath it, and use the elevator to push us through the wall and fall onto the star. The other requires us to triple jump over the boundary and drop down onto this button, unlocking the red gate. If we don't happen to hit the button, there's a quick backup done with a double jump kick that gives us enough momentum to hit it. In the next room, 3 quick long jumps takes us to the star. The next 2 stars are pretty straightforward. In this room, we wall kick up to this platform and long jump to the star. The other one is a casual stroll past these boulders and up on this ledge. We've reached the final stretch of the run, but it only gets harder from here. We head to the top of the castle and enter Rainbow Ride, a stage full of floating platforms and obstacles. We collect 4 stars here, but 3 require us to perform this triple jump to skip a slow carpet ride that takes us to the same location. However, this trick took me a few tries to get and is a time sink if we can't get momentum. I died twice here, which costs about 20 to 30 seconds. After landing it, we collect 8 red coins in this maze-like structure. Then, we aim to climb to the top of the level and reach a ship where a star lies. There's a high-level technique called Lakitu Bounce that takes us to this platform with a pole much faster, but we instead use a beginner strat that takes us around the stage to this area. Afterward, we ascend and try to land on this blue block, but I jumped too early here and fell all the way down, causing a huge loss in time because I had to go around the stage again to make it back. But as you can see, I tried a jump that didn't work in my favor either, so I decided to go for this star as a backup, but I even failed that. You know that saying things are better in threes? Well, we tried to make it to that ship a 3rd time, but failed again to a similar play. But this time we were able to make it to these tricky triangles and secure another star. Our 4th attempt finally gets us to the top of the ship, and we can claim our beautiful reward. The 4th star can be gotten with a really cool triple jump. I mean, look at Mario. Have you ever seen someone stick the landing like that? We talked to this one last toad for a quick star, but then we head into Tick-Tock Clock afterward, arguably the hardest stage in the game. Tick-Tock Clock is a vertical based level with many, and I mean many, places to die. Another thing to mention is that depending on where the minute hand is when you enter the stage, determines the speed that obstacles move in. We aim to enter the stage at the 12 mark, so everything is frozen. And in the path I use, we collect all the stars. We do 100 coins to make our way to the top of the clock. The movement here can be tricky, but if we take our time, we can push our way through. Typically, this star isn't recommended for beginners, but I figured it would be good to learn for the future. Once we reach the top, we're in a good position to grab the star guarded by this swamp. Next, we handle 8 reds, but it's a total breeze since they're all really close to each other and easy to get. After a couple of bonks, we quickly get the star in this little alcove, the one in this cage, the one next to the pendulum, and the 70th star inside a bigger cage. With 70 stars in hand, we ascend the endless staircase and enter the 3rd Bowser stage. This final climb is Bowser in the Sky, a path containing many of the challenges we have faced previously. Some important things to note are we can skip a small portion of the map here by triple jumping. A death is costly though, so keep that in mind. Then up here we can do a quick turn to skip another portion of the map. At this point I felt a little cocky and tried to do a pretty precise wall kick to skip some of the level, but it bit me in the butt and I fell a huge amount and had to climb back up. A 2nd try though yielded better results. Then a few more jumps later and we're into the pipe for the final fight. There isn't too much to say here except we now have to throw Bowser 3 times onto bombs, and during the final throw, the ground around us collapses into a star shape. It's a cute touch, but we're good enough to finish before he can say. Upon collecting the large star, we stop our timer, leaving us at an hour and 12-minute run. Not bad for a first run. I think Rainbow Ride and Tick-Tock Clock were our weakest points though during the run. They took a combined total of 15 minutes to complete. But our first day didn't end there though. We were able to complete a 2nd run in only an hour and 9 minutes. We shaved 3 minutes off our record for the first day, and I think we've achieved a lot. Whew, that was pretty tiring. You still with me though? Good, because now we can head on to the 2nd day and see what happened. Day 2 came by, and with it were 2 more runs. I knew that if I wanted to improve, I'd have to practice some difficult stages like Tick-Tock Clock and trouble stars like the Penguin Race. Consistency was my main goal here because nailing these stars on the first try would help save so much time. I also wanted to try and keep deaths to a minimum, So before the first run of the day, I practiced these stars as a way to warm up. Also, quick note, the splits you see on the timer were bugged at times. I had them set to the wrong settings, so the time differences you see may not reflect what I say. I hope it's not too distracting. In the first run itself, we started off strong, being almost a minute ahead coming out of Womps. However, we hit a bump at the first Bowser stage. I unfortunately bonked my head on this wall, causing me to fall and lose about a minute because of how far into the stage I was. This was a really disappointing death because it's a stage I'm super familiar with in 16 star, but something I had to keep in mind was as you refine your skills to learn new stars, it's important to practice the old stuff to keep it up to speed. Another hurdle came during the penguin race, but as you'll notice, I fell even before getting to enter the slide. I realized there was a lot of work to be done for this star because even after reaching the slide, I got pushed into the secret portion of it, forcing me to attempt the star a third time. Even with these mistakes, you might see that as the run progressed, we were still ahead of most of our splits, and I think that was due to a combination of better movement around stages, being more consistent at tricks, and having more familiarity with the route itself. I noticed I could think less about what I was doing and just let the muscle memory I had take over. Despite also missing the box jump in Tall Tall Mountain, this hill climb in Snowman's Land, and this triple jump in Rainbow Ride, we had a really clean upstairs run, especially in Tick-Tock Clock. In fact, we were able to advance our split from a 7.5 minute segment to only 5.5 minutes. This really showed me how much your movement and consistency can save time in a long run like this one. By the time we had reached the final Bowser stage, we were 6 minutes ahead of our 1 hour and 9 minute time. So of course I had to go for this triple jump kick again, but as you might expect, I failed it and fell way down after missing a jump onto this moving platform. But we stayed focused and managed to complete the run in just under an hour and 4 minutes. This was about 5 minutes ahead of what we achieved on day 1. While this was a great feeling, there was also a sense of peaking too early and being unable to match this level of progression. However, those feelings quickly disappeared as in our second run of the day, we were able to shave almost another minute off of our time. In total, we saved about 6 minutes from our day 1 results, which is insane to think about. While I was happy with the results so far, I wanted more improvement. I wanted that sub-hour time. I wanted to nail tricks like the box jump, these triple jumps, and more on the first try. So with these feelings in mind, I headed into day 3 with this motivation. I mean, at this rate, we might just be able to save another 6 minutes on day 3, right? Day 3 started just like the rest, but I came into it only planning on finishing 1 run. I was a bit tired and hadn't actually practiced due to being busy with other things. I still wanted to complete a run though, so I wouldn't forget anything I had learned these past few days. Everything went about as you'd expect starting off. We came out of Womps 17 seconds ahead, finished Bowser 1 15 seconds behind, and then completed Cool Cool Mountain 30 seconds ahead. This isn't anything too crazy. I expected the times to fluctuate like this for the rest of the run, but once we went upstairs, this happened. We had an unbelievable upstairs performance, leaving us 3 minutes ahead of our previous personal best heading into Rainbow Ride. On top of some gold splits, we were at a great position for a sub-hour run, something I never imagined would happen so fast. My motivation for learning this speedrun was to achieve a sub-hour time, but we were on pace for that, and so much more. In Rainbow Ride, we had the ride of a lifetime, nailing the ship star on our first try. The other stars came just as easily. Our TikTok was also incredible. We went deathless in that stage, which was something I hadn't done before. The third Bowser stage was just one last challenge we would have to complete before we saw the efforts of our run. To be honest, I was really nervous at this point. I felt like I was playing well and I didn't want to throw all these efforts away. But we nailed the triple jump, took a safer route past this moving platform, and jumped into the pipe for one last fight. With 1, 2, and 3 successful Bowser throws, we had done it. We had finished our amazing run. What was the time, you wonder? Well, it was a 57:28, a 5.5 minute improvement over our day 2 run. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Let's go. Oh my god. He's insane. How does he do it? As you can hear, I was so excited for a result like this. I think I had a very fast progression, and even though it's not near any world record times, it's a personal accomplishment that I'm proud of. And of course, having support from my Twitch chat definitely helped make this moment special. I wanted to document these 3 days of speedrunning because I think it shows how much a runner can develop if you dedicate enough time and practice. Of course, the results from different individuals will vary, but if you enjoy something enough and are willing to put in the time, I believe anyone can become a great speedrunner. If you made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you. This is a much different kind of video than what I usually make, but one that I'd like to continue on this channel. I plan on speedrunning more games in this format, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, subscribe so you don't miss out. At the very least, I hope you've enjoyed what I've put together. Thanks for watching.